Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can tell by the title, we are going over the movie Red, White, and Royal Blue. So I watched the movie, I think, 2 days ago, and I was like, I should do a video on it. Everything wrong with. If you guys are new, basically in this review series, I go through the characters from a movie one by one, give my thoughts and opinions on the characters, and at the end I give my thoughts on the show overall. Now I usually do this with shows, so it's the first time doing it with the movie, which is gonna be a little bit harder because not every character I'm going to mention is even fleshed out or used enough in the story to have a good solid opinion on them. So some of them are just kind of serve their purpose and that's it. And I can't, say much about them, but I'll try my best. I'll try my best to kind of get my opinions out on those characters. Now, before I get started, I will say I have not read the book, nor do I intend to. So if you feel like my opinion on the characters shown in the movie isn't justified because I haven't read the book, which has more context or different things that go on with the characters that may make them better or whatever the case may be, I'm so sorry to tell you, I'm not about to read that. I'm not planning on it. I'm not. So I'm just talking about the movie. Only the movie, okay? With all that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, first character we have is Amy, one of the bodyguards. She served her purpose as the bodyguard pretty well. I don't know if I thought she was like a funny comedic character per se, but I think there was a more humorous vibe to her essence, if you will. Um, I don't have any other thoughts and opinions beyond that. I think she was fine for what she did. I think she had maybe 3 scenes in the movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think 3 scenes, or maybe 4. I don't know. But she was fine. Next we have is Miguel. Okay, so I was very interested in seeing a outside force antagonistic type of person really come in and shake the table. However, he was also underutilized because I believe we saw him twice, no, 3 times. We saw him 3 times in the movie. When we saw him in, I think, the library or coffee shop, and then we saw him again at that dinner party, which he tried to get an interview with old boy, but he wasn't really listening, so he ran with the story. And then we saw him again. Oh no, we saw him 4 times actually. We saw him at the bar, and old boy was pissed off. It was like, oh, you said this and said that. I ain't say all that. And he's like, well, I forgot what happened in that scene at the bar, but he was like, he wanted to bust down with him. He was like, we can't bust down, we can't talk, we can't be friends. He said something like that, and he was, turned away. And then next we see him is exposing our main couple to the masses. And what's missing is his obvious motivation to do so. Now, it's obvious that it was clearly he was jealous or upset or kind of slighted or felt, kicked to the curb. But how little time he was on screen and interacted, it kind of didn't make any sense for him to do what he did, the way he did it. I was like, I wish he would have been more present a little bit more often. Maybe he could have dated, what's our main boy's name? Alex? He could have dated Alex or been around him a bit more, and we see him gradually get neglected because he's blooming romance with the prince. You know what I mean? Him kind of constantly getting, pushed aside. Maybe Alex could be rude to him in some capacity. Not intentionally, maybe, but like he was kind of like rude or like dismissive towards him, or said something that kind of like was a low blow for him to have more of a motivation to do what he did. Because also, I don't think we saw any type of comeuppance at all. Like he did what he did. He was on the newscast, and then after that, I don't think we saw him ever again. I was like, oh, so he's not gonna come back up again? They're not gonna get him. They know he did it. So I don't. What was the point of his character? We seen he's the one who leaked the emails, but then nothing. You know what I mean? Like they didn't get their lick back. It was odd. I don't. And that's the thing about this movie. It just seems like they didn't spend enough time doing all the things they were doing. So like the characters and plot threads weren't actually fleshed out enough, in my opinion. And as a result, I'm left feeling empty and wanting more. But I don't care to want more because it's too late, right? Next we have is Prince Philip. I barely remember him. I know at the end he was out here trying to be like, you need to do what you're supposed to do for the crown and for the monarchy and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. His brother is really out here, being the opposite of him, being what the family wants him to be, obviously. And he's mad at his brother out here being a big old queen, on the scene. But there's not much more to him than being someone slightly antagonistic in the narrative. And I think we saw him maybe twice. That one scene at the beginning, the cake and stuff, and then at the end, I think. I have no thoughts on him. He was really just in one note, really. Next we have is B. Now she had more of a presence. She was a confidant to her brother and everything. Now we don't know much about her either. Um, but she seems nice. She seems pleasant. A great confidant, and you know, she served her purpose. I don't know what else they could have done with her character beyond that. Because his brother's opposing situation, and the sister's kind of for it in a way. But she didn't do that much after that or beyond that, so I don't know what else I could potentially say about her. But she was pleasant. Next we have is Nora. She was what B was to Prince. She's that to Alex. She's like his confidant, good Judy, a springboard of advice, and someone he could really talk to about the situation. And I liked her. I liked her a lot, actually. I remember this actress from Love Victor, so I was excited to see her. I do remember her in American Horror Story as well. So I'm glad another black actress is getting booked and booked and booked and booked. So I was excited to see her. Even though she wasn't utilized a lot in this narrative, she did serve her purpose very well, and she had lots of scenes with our main leads, so I like that. And yeah, I like Nora. Next we have is Oscar, Alex's dad. Also, he was in the movie. He was. I don't know. I guess he's supposed to represent like. Uh, they had these themes like they had a woman president. They had Alex be half Latino and his dad. They had all these things that are this fantasy world where minorities and women are in power or in the White House and doing things, and he was optically that. But I don't know what else. I don't know. He was fine, I guess. I don't know. He maybe in the books he had more of a presence and more things going on, but in the movie I just was like, that's his dad, and he was there. He was nice. He was cool. His man met him at the beach house thingy, and that's about it. I don't know what else to say beyond that. Sorry, I got a text message. But yeah, that's Oscar. Zahara, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. Now she was a more comedic relief character. I didn't know who she was. Oh, it says Deputy Chief of Staff. Okay, so she was. Yeah, She was cool. She was funny. I don't. I'm trying to think what I'm gaining from her because she played her role very well. The actress played a very good job playing her role. Her character was very funny in a way. I mean, I didn't laugh, but I could see the humor they were attempting. So I was like, okay, work. I kind of like the humor they were doing. Um, but it seemed a bit one note, because she wasn't necessarily an antagonist, but she was kind of like a foil or like a killjoy to some of the antics that Alex was getting himself into. But I think I only saw one time where she was really getting him together. I mean, it was twice. After the cake incident, she really got him together for the PR situation, but then also when she went to go pick him up, and she was like, "Oh, you got some girl up in here," and she found out it was the prince, and she was like, "Okay, like you wilding right now," but then she ended up helping them in the end with her connections. I don't know what else to say. What else to say about her beyond that? I thought she was pleasant. She played her role very well, and that's about it. Okay, Miss Ellen, Madam President. Okay, okay, okay. So she had more of a presence in the story, and I love that she had this accent. Like, she's supposed to be from Texas, right? But she sounded like New Orleans or Louisiana. It was the twang that Uma Thurma was doing was very interesting. I was like, what is this accent? Um, Now I do think her character, like she was opposing her son's antics or something. I forgot they were fighting over something to do in Texas, and in the narrative she was focused on one thing, and Alex wanted her to focus on this too, and she was like, I can't, they had an argument with that. Um, as pertains to the relationship with Alex and the president or the prince, she was very supportive and very pro queer mom, and I was like, okay, work. And then like I believe she got elected as reelected as president at the end of the story, so I was like, okay, good for you. I'll talk about more at the end what I feel about the whole narrative, but I feel like the narrative could have been better with utilizing her because off like I will admit I forgot she was even in the story. The whole political stuff in the background I forgot about until we focused on it randomly and for so long. I'll talk about it later, but I was like, oh yeah, I forgot because she has things going on, and there's a reason why she's butting heads with Alex. Like I forgot. I was like, damn, I forgot we were doing this. But yeah, that's the president. Okay, we're here on Alex. Finally, one of our two leads. Um, I like this character. I like the actor playing him as well, but I think I like the character despite that because how he was very cool, calm, collected guy. I will say with the writing, the dialogue, some of his lines were corny. So corny. You were so corny. But I enjoyed his energy, his vibe, his, lust for life, it seems. Very passionate about what he wants, and both political stuff and romance. He really ain't playing games with that. Um, and for me, he was the most likable of the two, because something happened with their prince. I was like, what you doing? Um, now his whole like wants, his political needs, or what he was doing with going to Texas with campaigning and stuff. In the movie's narrative, it seemed a bit disjointed because I was like, I didn't know he cared about this so much until they brought it up, and then we had a whole like scene where he was away doing all that. We had a whole montage of him doing all the political stuff, and I was like, I wish this would have been something on the forefront with his desires and goals, so I can really rock with this. Because at this point, I don't care because it's something randomly brought up and wasn't. I didn't marinate in this. You know what I mean? So I also wish he would have cut that boy loose because he got ghosted twice. The first time, I'm like, all right, that wasn't your man, and y'all had a little kiss, and he was being weird. Fine, make it work. Go after him. The second time, oh no, ma'am, Miss Pam. Alex, stand up. This boy left you. Y'all been together forever, busting down, going on dates, doing the whole thing. He leaves you, ain't talking to you. You have to go all the way over to the UK on his doorstep in the rain to get this boy to give you time of day. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And she was like, oh, go for your man. Absolutely not. You had me and you lost me. You left me. I ain't leave you. We ain't finna play these games right now with you, Prince. Going over there to get you to come back to me? No, ma'am. That first time, fine. Second time, absolutely not. I'm so sorry, Alex. I was like, stand up, bestie. We don't need this. We don't not. We. I know you in love. Like I like love, love, love. I love that for you. He ain't out here doing nothing to keep you. He had no actual reason. No one else has told him to leave you. I mean, he has reasons. We'll get to him in a minute. He has reasons, but it wasn't no outside force really taking him away. It kind of happened at the end when the whole email thing, and he really y'all want to be together, and they were keeping y'all apart. I was like, okay, fine, keep your man, get your man back when that circumstances. But when he left on his own accord, oh no, 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 no. Last but not least, we have Prince Henry. This mofo, I did not dislike him. Let's get that straight. However, he got on my nerves. Like, I love that he was like, admitted that he was being rude and he had his reason because his father passed away and he was like going through it. So like, I like that. Like, we got a reason for his actions. He wasn't just a jerk to be a jerk. He really had something going on with him. He got better from it. He started to be he interacted with folks better, and I just like that. I just was annoyed that he knew he was the prince. He knew what being with a man would entail. So he waited to after they got together, boot up on the regular, for him to leave, and then have this big old speech about how he can't choose one prison over the other. I'm like, what? I don't understand this because you knew about this before this even. I don't know why And that's why it made more sense for someone else to be kind of on his case about it and kind of actively breaking them apart, actively doing something to get him to like leave the situation. But he left on his own with no outside force at that moment to do that. I was like, so what? Why did we do all this for? You got this man you allegedly love calling you, you ain't picking up, you not texting back. He has to come to your place and you mad at him and you out here crying saying he has it easier and maybe he does, but Miss Mothers, what is going on? Because this doesn't make any sense to me. And then you want to get back together with him, kind of, sort of, but like the emails leaked and they won't let you contact him. And I was like, that makes more sense. Like, okay, if they were doing this beforehand, if y'all got busted and accosted, and physically split apart, and y'all they were doing this, I'll be like, all right, fight the power, fight for your man, and they kind of did that at the end. But that middle part made me dislike his character more because I was like, you knew what's up, you knew this, and you was going against it. What you thought was gonna happen? Maybe he thought we was gonna bust out in secret the whole time. Maybe that could have been the reality. Maybe he could have been the prince and like had a wife, but also had his man on the side. So, what are my thoughts on the overall film? To be honest, I didn't really care for the film at all. Okay, let me start line. I think there could have been some editing done. I would have cut some things out or made things make more sense. Um, Alex, okay, number one, Alex's political campaign in Texas thing. It seemed to come out of nowhere and last for so long. What would have made more sense is at the beginning of the film, if Alex was like talking about doing that and having some pushback with his mother. Like he's like, oh, she's really out here not helping me get that on and popping. I really want to do it. I'm really about to do it. And maybe he could have made some type of announcement or something along the lines, which will cause him to kind of butt heads with his mother later on in the film, which we saw. Um, but then the whole cake incident happened, and then he's kind of looking bad, so he has to like play nice. So the whole thing could still happen, how he has to play nice with the prince, but it would have been for his own personal journey or what he want for himself. So he's like, okay, let me play nice with this prince. I'm looking bad. I have this thing I want to do in Texas and really campaign and help people out and kind of make the changes I want to make for um, unrepresented people. Boom. It would have made more sense in kind of him being like, okay, look, Princey Prince, I don't like you, but I need the optics to say that I do, so I can make sure what I want to do to go off with a hitch. And he's like, well, I need to make sure we're good too because of whatever reason. They have their reasons for making things nice beyond, I guess, the monarch, the the White House and the the government and the monarchy. So they could have had that more established that way, so the characters can work on their personal stuff as well as their budding friendship slash romance. Because it seemed disjointed. Like he automatically was arguing with his mom, and then he went to Texas, and it was a whole chunk of movie where we left the romance to do that. I'm like, I see why the movie's 2 hours long because we're doing all this, which I don't know how to feel because I feel like the movie didn't spend any time making me care about what he wanted to do. And then the thing is, we did all that political stuff in Texas, and then we wasn't brought up and was not mentioned again. And then until the mom got reelected acting in. So any of that political stuff that happened in the middle, it seemed like it took away from the romance plot, and it wasn't brought back until the end. So at the end of the day, I didn't care about any of that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they could have like had like a through line that made more sense, so I can care about that because I did. I was like, and when it happened, I was like, I don't know what to be. I don't know what am I. What's going on here? He's on the phone with his man, telling him or sending text messages like, "Oh, this is going on. We're doing that." I'm like, I'm bored. I'm not. I have no interest in that. And on the flip side, like I said already about Prince Henry, him, you know, leaving Alex because of he's a prince. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense either. You always so that tension was so manufactured. It was so odd. The long conversation when he came to his house in the rain and they walked in that museum, and it was nice to see in a way, but given the fact that it didn't make any sense because they were booed up for so long throughout nearly the whole movie, busting down on a regular basis, for a non-outside force really to come in to break them up was odd to me. I was like, I really wish someone else would have came in and really was like putting y'all through it. Y'all want to be together, and they're finding a great. Maybe they have some doubts. Maybe Prince Henry could be like, you know what, is this worth it? Because like it's so hard to be together, and then they kind of like have like a moment like, damn, I thought you really wanted to ride with me, and like kind of have like a moment of like uncertainty, but then like bounce back and fight whoever was breaking them apart. That makes more sense to me. I'm like, ooh, I. It shows me that yes, they can have some doubts, but like we all do, but they really are riding for each other, so they are gonna ride for each other. And like you can say they did do that. They did at the end. They really was out here fighting the man. They really did. And ended up being together. And they did campaigns for the queer folk, and they were like represent, to the people, like we're together, holding hands. Like they did all that. They did. I just feel like so much of the runtime was him chasing this boy, him going to Texas, and then him breaking up, and then getting back together just for them to be physically apart from each other again right after that. I was like, why would we do this twice in two different ways? The first way was Henry inner turmoil breaking them up, and then his reasoning for feeling like they should break up happening after that. So it's like, and yeah, they kissed before they split ways again, but it just seemed like the same similar story beat happening twice in a way. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the movie's 2 hours long, right? It might have been shorter than that. I think it was 2 hours or some change. But I was like, no wonder it's so long. Cut all the breakup part out. We don't need to do that because he already goes to him one time in the movie already. We don't need to do it again. Cut that out. Jump to Miguel leaking the emails. The whole thing going crazy. Then split apart. Taking his phone away. Do that. Do that. All that. Do that still. Just take out the whole middle part. And like I know the optics of that. Then the whole heartfelt speech and like him like getting his man seems very like but him it just turned me off that he had to go do all that for this a white man. I was not with all that. No, ma'am, Miss Pam. It was odd. So yeah, I don't think I I I don't like the movie because of that, and all the political stuff. It just seems like on the back burner, and it was brought up randomly, not randomly. It was there. It was always there. It just seemed like it was on a like intertwined focus. I wish we went back and forth between the romantic plot line and the family political plot line, like that. So it works with the pacing. It makes me care about the ending. Like it just I'm not sure how it was in the books. I'm sure you guys will let me know. Maybe there's more time spent with characters doing things they need to do for themselves or things they want in their life, and as well as their romance. So like it was a little more fleshed out in that way, and the movie didn't have enough time to do all the things that the book did. Maybe that's probably what it was. But yeah, let me know your thoughts below on this movie. Am I wild? You're probably gonna let me know like I'm crazy, like I'm expecting too much or whatever the case may be. Maybe I am. Maybe I want. I don't know. Cut 45 minutes of the runtime down and make it a little more tighter narrative. Maybe utilize some characters a bit more in some different ways. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. But I'm glad I watched it though. I think the actors did a good job. I will say that. I like the actors. Some of the characters I really like. I just think the narrative was just a weak part and the direction was a weak part. And some of the dialogue. Some of that dialogue was crunch, crunch, crunch. I was like, oh my god, who talks like this? But yeah, let me know below, and I will see you guys in the next video.